Hello everyone, every human being trying to surpass their limited nature to find themselves as God. Whatever God is, if it even exists. Of course it does, or maybe it doesn't. Yeah, we don't know. Greetings everyone. Nefesh hagalgalim vishemesh lemalkut. Let us speak together during this class. Swastika, pay attention to yourself, be self-contained and simple. If you can't be softly happy, at least try to be at peace. And if you cannot be at peace, try to be simple. If you can't be simple, try to be non-dramatic. If you cannot be non-dramatic, try not to be a bitch. All right. In the class of Rin, we have considered formlessness to be undefined. We'll think about that until we can feel about that. Before our birth, we were formless. After death, we will have no form anymore. The body has a form, but not us. We are without a form as a being at this moment. It is the body that has a form. We need the intellectual understanding of this Dharma intellectually at the mental level, so that we can modulate the feeling of that formlessness at the emotional level. So you contemplate it in your mind and you feel formlessness. Before my birth, formless. After my death, formless. I am still formless now. It is my body that has a form, but I, as a conscious entity, am still without form. As a soul, if you want. Formless. Good. Thank you for your time. I've explained in the third step of TOH, in many other videos about Kuji-in, the meaning of jita, rashi, yatra, ratna, swaha. Jita rashi means to conquer the zodiac. If someone knows how to write that precisely, write it or else it's okay. Jita rashi is to conquer the zodiac. What does that mean? I've explained it many times, so I won't explain it for an hour. The zodiac in the past is a reference to types of personalities. Okay, I've also explained that the stars in the sky, before we had the calendars in printed paper or computer, the star in the sky was how to measure time. So depending on which season or which month you were born, the temperature, the environment would affect how you would react to nature. If it was cold, if it was hot, humid or dry. So depending on when you were born, before we had air conditioning and climate control, heating, we were all exposed to the elements. So that affected how we behaved in life the first months out of our growth. So if you were born during the period of Cancer or Gemini or Pisces, it would affect your behavior. Okay? So astrology was a way to measure when you were born, and because that meant it affected how you were exposed to the elements the first months of your life, that would actually affect your personality. Okay, so we're done with that. The zodiac represents your personality traits. Okay, so this is what I've explained in very deep detail in every other class of Kuji-in. So I'm not going to do it again. I want to go further. Okay. Consider the idea that you are formless and nameless. That's what we learn with the Vajra state of mind. In the same way, you are without definition. It is your human mind that has learned these definitions. It is you who have learned the belief, but you as a soul, you are formless while your body has a form. And as a soul, you are without definitions while your mind has definitions. You understand that? The same principles appear here. You are nameless. You are without belief as an entity, as a soul. So we contemplate this. The same way that we are without form, and it is the body who has a form. We are without beliefs, without education. We are without any conditioned thought process. We are undefined as a being. We are unconditioned. Understand intellectually so that you can feel emotionally. How does that feel? I am not the sum of what I know of myself. I am beyond that. I'm not what I've learned in the Mudra. I'm not the mantras I've charged. As a pure consciousness, I'm without any personality trait. I'm without any effect of the mind. It is the mind that is trained, conditioned, defined. I am not those things of my mind. I'm beyond that. You just feel it. As we cultivate the Vajra state of being, this deeper aspect of jita rashi, that we surpass any personality definition. We try to feel it. For that, this is a challenge. For that, we must accept that there are no instructions to follow, that there is no one who will tell us what to do. In that sense, once again, freedom is absolute. You're following the instructions of a wise teacher or spiritual master. That's to inspire your human on how to recuperate that freedom. But that does not grant any authority of the teaching on your soul. That does not grant authority of the master on you as a being. That simply says the master has pedagogical skills to transmit the information. And for you, cognitive skills to understand the information. Jita rashi conquers any type of definition and conceptions you have of yourself. We don't know who we are. We know what our human is. Until we have a lot of experience at the level of the soul. Then we start to know who we are. Even then, you know how you are as a human by observing the way you react to events in your life. At some point, an event happens that should have irritated you, and now you find it unacceptable, but it does not irritate you. Like you've grown to be a better being. So you think, I've changed. My personal growth, it works. I feel better. That's good. That doesn't mean that you know who you are. That proves that you change. And that before an event reveals it, you don't know how you will react to the next event. So even now as a human, you don't know who you are. You only know who you were in the past, up to your last big reaction. You don't know who you are now. If you have done any form of personal growth or spiritual practice, where is your state of mind now? You don't know. Because the human needs karma to reveal that. The human needs events to show you your responses. So that's one part of the teachings to accept. We're not trying to find who we are. We're trying to understand who we were a few moments ago. Because who we are surpasses even that teaching. Who we are is not even defined by what we have discovered of ourselves in the close past when we reacted the last time. We are beyond that. So even the human that cannot pretend to know itself now, we are not even what we think we were moments ago. It is beyond that. conquering zodiac as an expression, conquering any possible influence of nature. The zodiac is not only astrological science, it is also a symbol of personality trait and also a symbol of the influence that nature has on us. As a being, we transcend the influence that nature has on us. Our human body can react to nature. Our human mind can react to nature. We don't. We react to our human and our mind. So consider yourself formless, nameless, undefined, not bounded by any rule. Transcend definitions and accept you cannot know something that will never have a definition. It is not possible to know something that will not have a definition. You can reach a point of pure existence, and that will not be to know yourself. This will simply be. As a human, it is very important to know yourself, because it implies how you interact in this world. But the spiritual quest about knowing profoundly who you are is not something possible. It is a question that you transcend. It is not a question that you answer. You reach the point where you don't have to ask the question anymore. And you rejoice simply in pure being without any knowledge of what you are, because you cannot be defined. Jita, rashi, yatra, jiva, ratna, swaha. As you invest yourself in transcending definitions and conquering your behavior, you do personal growth. That's essential. As you transcend any system, even of integration, any system, any way of thinking, of perceiving, and get to the undefined experience of self, then you are. And you transcend the question, who am I? You are. It is undeniable because you feel it. Yatra, jiva, ratna. These are the treasures of life. That second part of the mantra is understanding what is the most precious part of you. It is the one you cannot grasp because it has no density. You can't hold it because it has no form. You cannot understand it because it has no definition, no concept to be framed with. When we say a mantra, we're not talking to the pure, undefined being. It doesn't care. It cares about your existence, but it doesn't care about your definitions you're trying to put on it. The mantra is for the lower part of the soul, the karma and the dharma part. and for the human to train into whatever the mantra means. In this case, the mantra is for the human to accept. It is not defined by even the system of Kuji-in you're training with. That's just for the human, the system of training. It's useful because it works. It is a defined wisdom that contains the idea that you will transcend that definition in order to find absolute freedom in all its applications. The martial artists would use the wisdom of TOH to accept they are not bound by the laws of nature. They would unbind themselves from the fears. I am not my fear. My fear is something my human feels, but I am not my fear. So they could push the limits of the combat abilities. The priests, they apply this to the concept of a soul. Being is absolutely undefined. It is inspired by the wisdom of Sakyamuni Buddha. If I tell you what a soul is, you will build conceptions about what a soul is, and these conceptions in your mind will be wrong. But if I don't tell you what the soul is, you will also build conception about what the soul could be, and these conceptions will also be wrong. If I tell you there is no soul, you will build a false conception that there is no soul, because there is one. So I'm simply not going to talk about soul until you're ready to understand. Basically, a lot of his students did not have any education. They were peasants. Schools did not exist at that time. The only ones with education were those who were close to the business and the royalty, the bourgeois, and learned cool stuff from one another. Father to child, wisdom in families, the Brahmans in India, basically. So without education, they were not trained to transcend thinking. They had no training in thinking. So all the complex education we have today, we think that it puts weight on the mind, but that's not true. It trains your mind into understanding complexity. Enough that wisdom like the one we study in Kuji-in will be understandable, and it will allow to transcend the same wisdom that brought you to that experience of no definition. Good. Let's go a bit further. Feel not knowing yourself, but embracing yourself. No intellectual conception of yourself can define yourself. Not even your soul name or your Buddha nature. Nothing can define you. Let go of this addiction to classify everything in your mind. Very useful, but not if it puts you as a slave to your definitions. Knowing your soul name and your full Buddha nature is a useful tool, but you are not to remain limited by what you have found. It's supposed to inspire you, not build a more beautiful cage. Transcend what you know of yourself. Just be. And think about it so you can feel it. I cannot know what I am. It is not possible. But I feel that I am. That's existential. That's the truth. It's a fact. Because you're here, you're conscious. You're watching that video. I mean, you exist. And that's it. Existence is true. It is real. Because you experience it. Existence like that does not depend on what you think or what you imagine if you are here or not. You are here, obviously. Because you are asking yourself the question, do I exist because I think I exist? Or maybe I don't exist, but I just think I do? No, this is a ridiculous kind of thinking. You exist. It's a fact. You're right here. So existential. The fundamental state of being without anything to define what that state is. But you can feel it. So with the contemplation of Vajra in Rin, we learn to cultivate its state of mind. The jita rashi is asking you to push the Vajra feeling beyond even any conception you can have. And that means you cannot know truly what is the fundamentals of the universe with intellectual contemplations. But you so obviously exist purely and simply. And that is truth. That's a state of truth. Om Jita Rashi. I am beyond definitions. I have conquered wanting to know what I am into just being. Jiva, ratna, the treasures of life. Every beautiful event of life that happened to you. Seeing the children play. Hugging a person. For a moment, it puts you in a state and you stop thinking. And you have been doing this, Jita Rashi, in very little moments. When events in nature brings it up. Especially children, when they're not playing games of defining themselves, but just laughing, and as an adult, you see the children laugh. And for a moment, 1 second, no mind, just that state. They live it, you live it. You know what it is, the state of Jivaratna. The most beautiful experience of life. You know what it is. But it is buried under all the human drama, the stress, the fears. We just do our best as adults. But that is Jivaratna. This pure state of simple bliss that a few times in your life you had a chance to live. by observing it in others when they live it also by mistake. Not mistake, but random. Good. Surpass what you are in any defined sense. And you will remain for longer periods of time in the jiva ratna, in this superb state of being. And if you cannot be in that state of being, in bliss, try your best to be at peace. And if you can't be at peace, at least try to be simple. And if you can't be simple, at least try to be non-dramatic. And if you cannot be non-dramatic, don't be a bitch. Like, it's the only counseling I can give you at that point. Do personal growth, get better at it. What must I mourn to find peace again? What must I accept and make peace with? We'll repeat the mantra a bit. We'll make the mudra. The index, symbol of power, and the major, symbol of your experience, they go inside. Okay? So it's about your body, your emotions, and your mind. They're subject to your power and your experience or your wisdom inside. It makes sense to know to those who have learned which finger represents what. jita, rashi, yatra, ratna, swaha. Write it again, someone. Or copy paste it from before. Contemplating myself as undefined leads me to embracing pure existence, the beautiful feeling of just being. jita, rashi, yatra, jiva, ratna, swaha. Can I live not asking who I am, but accepting I cannot be defined? I can just be. Let the mind shed its thoughts the way a snake shed its skin. Can I accept to be lost? You cannot find something that has no locality. Can I accept to be lost and pure? There is a form of locality. It is defined by the human. As a soul, we are just here. Just that. jita, rashi, yatra, jiva, ratna, swaha. Transcending beliefs, transcending knowing myself. To just be. I'm not my astrological sign or the last reaction I had. The last reaction I had, I really did have it. But I'm not defined by that. This is how I evolve as an incarnate being. But I'm not limited to that reaction. If I can be patient enough to let go of my need of importance, transcend my own pride, I cannot be appreciated by another if I cannot be defined. In the sense, my need of importance for others to recognize me. How can I be recognized by another if I am without form, density, or definition? It is the human animal that seeks recognition, but me, as a soul, there's nothing to recognize. I am. That's a fact. Experience it. Jita, rashi, yatra, jiva, ratna, swaha. Transcending what I can define in any way. And just be in this beautiful state. Pure freedom. There is no more importance in that state. There's just being. It is the summit of simplicity. Jita, rashi, yatra, jiva, ratna, swaha. Deep breath. Relax the mudra and the practice. It is advanced wisdom that the newbies will have difficulty to apply. My advanced students, who have been studying for more than a decade, they want new stuff and they're ready to understand it. So I teach it. I recommend you, if Kuji-in is your thing, if you like it, go watch the other YouTube series. There's 2 or 3 series of videos I put on Kuji-in in my YouTube to understand the basics of personal growth, of how to observe yourself, breathe, inhabit, feel, observe, nothing. Be. What must I mourn to be complete? What must I mourn to be at peace? Once you have a pure state of being, this is also called the Vajra state, what we're doing now. Jita rashi is pointing in a specific way of letting go of the mental limits of being to just purely be. And knowing really what you are. No way to define it. You are something, but you cannot define it. You can feel it. You can exist it. This state of being uses your intellectual understanding of this wisdom to modulate the feeling you have when you are truly embracing the state. When you are in that state, that the human body can feel. Your human body does not understand your thinking. So if you think and you try to teach to your body with mind, it will take 10 times or 100 times longer. But when you feel, using your thinking to modulate a feeling, what you feel is very close to the body. That your body can, I get something out of it. It is through feeling a wisdom, a state of being, that you teach the body through incarnating that. So now incarnate the body. Even my body is not defined by the potentials it has accumulated. My body purely is as it is. Flesh and bone, organs in nature. It exists as that. It is what it is. And it is not defined by any trauma or any potential that installed itself in the flesh. It is just purely as it is. What must I mourn to find peace again? Teach the body the loss of validation, the loss of pride, the loss of security, at the same time the gaining of prudence. Of course, you want to be prudent, but lose any false sense of security. For example, you feel emotionally alone, so you tend to eat more chocolate. It gives a false sense of security. Mourn security. Cultivate prudence. Keep the body safe. Don't hide in illusions. That's an example. There are many more. Especially applicable to the traumas, the violence you have received in life, if you have. The extreme loneliness, if you have. The judgments you put on your body because of your shape, and then the amount of fat you carry, the size of your nose. Incarnate this wisdom in the body through feeling it. Feel. I am exactly what I am revealed to be, with no definitions. To the exception, in nature, in this world, there's the basic construct, or the primordial intention of things as they manifest. That's how creation happens. It's there. But we have piled up so much definitions. You see a table. It's not a table. It's wood in a certain organized form. If you put things on it, that makes it a table. But it's still not a table. It's just wood or plastic or whatever your table is made of. A little child goes under the table and it plays. Proof that it's not a table. It's a fort. It's a house. It's a bunker. How can it be a table if it's a house? But even for a child, playing hiding under the table as a house. That wood is not a house. It's just wood. It's just what it is. The way you use it is the definitions you put on it. Don't put this on the table. Put it at its appropriate place. Beliefs. Systems of beliefs. Very useful systems of belief. It is so much wiser to organize where you put things. It is in the concept of prudence. To be efficient in handling your resources and not transmitting sickness by putting your old shoes on the table where you will also put your food when you eat. I mean, all of this is prudence. But it is not meant to be the fundamental truth. A table is not a table. We built a system around it, but that system is not real. And that table is still not a table. I hope you can understand my example with the table. Apply it to your body. My body is my body in the sense I'm incarnate in it. But it doesn't make that body fat, beautiful, or ugly. The body is useful. Every judgment I've put on it, on its functionality, this behavior is appropriate, that behavior is not appropriate. All of this, it's just definitions. I will let you work on that one. Om jita rashi yatra jiva ratna swaha. Understand what that means intellectually, so you can apply it in your mind, so that you can modulate the feeling of just being beyond definitions and substantiality, so that this feeling can be transmitted to the body. And the body will start to understand what are the true limits of nature intended in the primordial intention, and which are the illusionary limits that I've put with my beliefs on my animal. You don't know how strong you are until strength is the only option. But don't be imprudent and try stuff that requires a strength beyond your own knowledge of how much you have. Be prudent. Don't go experimental with that. But you don't know how strong your body can heal itself until you choose life as the only option. And then the basics of nature will still work. So figure it out, okay? One thing at a time. That was a nice class. Thank you. See you on Monday.